Welcome, hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you for finding your way here and for spending this moment with me. I hope that it's not too bright. I wanted to sit in the sun and sunbathe a little bit, but it's like setting right in front of me. But I mean, it's a full moon, so maybe it will help me embody the voice of the moon, because that's exactly what happens when the moon is full and the sun is shining at it. It can get a little bit intense, but it's also very nourishing. I have my cards here, and I want to take a look at the energies that are playing into this full moon moment for the collective, for us all. Just shuffling my cards here. I want to invite everybody to take a breath. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Maybe imagine the warm sun rays hitting or softly stroking your face, gently warming you. Set an intention for yourself to receive the messages. Set an intention for yourself to connect with the energy flowing through me at the moment, through the cards, through our guides and our higher conscious or subconscious. I'm feeling that this moon is very much related to topics of truth, of honesty, integrity, loyalty, of going beyond what is already clear. So we've all done a lot of work, and that's amazing, and we can be very, very proud of it. And now we are ready to take in the honesty that we're craving. We're ready to take in, or to take the steps of loyalty that we desire and that we want to offer to the world as well. I'm going to ask about this topic, the cards. So my first question is going to be how can we in what area of our life are we ready to go an extra step, or in what area do we need a little more honesty and integrity? So in which area of our lives can we further develop this skill and this value right now? What area of our life? And I would also like to ask about our desires and our needs that are in opposition to Pluto at this time. So Venus is in opposition to Pluto. Venus connects with what we want to attract, what is beautiful to us, what we desire, what our intention is. So what will help us better discern our desire and our attention so that we can also connect with that integrity, so that we can choose to act. But what will help us discern and find out what is it that we really deeply value and desire at this moment? What will help us connect with that and understand it better? And I would also like to ask, what skill set that we already have wants to be recognized right now? Or an understanding that we already have that wants to be recognized right now, but something that we have already developed that is just now being highlighted, and that now we can implement it. So the first card, I hope you can see this, it's very bright. The first card is the Page of Wands. Came out in reversed, and the card was connected to finding integrity and the area of our life in which we really want to deepen that integrity and deepen that understanding of faithfulness, of loyalty. And we've gone through a process where we have already done a lot of emotional cleansing. We have already done a lot of soul searching. And in that process of soul searching, we have probably felt a little spark inside. And sometimes that little spark is what really keeps us sane, keeps us going, keeps us moving. And when we connect with this little spark, and it becomes our drive, and it becomes our momentum, then we start seeing results. It helps us stay moving. It helps us continue on and reach those first little moments of success, those first little sips of comfort, of being in a direction, of being in the right direction. And then what happens is that we grow. We go through a process where we grow and we evolve, we change. And sometimes we outgrow that original idea. Because when we first were able to connect with that idea, we were not the same person. So we connected with that belief from an outdated version of ourselves. So it's important to continually go back into what drives us, what gives us hope, what gives us faith, and to compare our answers now with our answers that have given us the momentum a year ago, 2 years ago, and to really look at where is it coming from and how can it be altered to fit who I am now. And at the same time, some of the beliefs that we carry inside are already very, very pure. And in those areas, it may be important to reconnect with our original value, with our original belief. I feel very much that this loyalty, this integrity, and this faithfulness is primarily directed to ourselves. And the most important factor with this card also is really staying loyal to the things that are there when everything else is gone. So staying loyal to myself, because when everything else is gone, when everyone else is gone, I'm still here. Understanding how that loyalty and that faithfulness really needs to be applied to myself, and how that looks as applied action is very context is very different depending on the context. So it can look like a different action for many different people and in different circumstances. But understanding how to put yourself first, what that even means, how to take care of yourself, how to be loyal to yourself, and other ways of finding connection even beyond the physical realm. So what are we loyal to? Our beliefs. But what are the beliefs connected to? Where do they come from? What are they based on? With what do these beliefs have a relationship? With what do they interact? And understanding that faithfulness comes in many different forms. It comes as actions. It comes as sentences you tell yourself. It comes as meditation. And it comes as a belief, first and foremost. So I feel it's very beneficial right now to really establish a connection with physical things in a new way, where the relationship comes from that place beyond the obvious, beyond the physical surface, beyond the tangible thing, so that we can kind of source that faith from a place that is never going to go away. And looking deep within, which aspects of yourself have been good to you? Which aspects of yourself have actually helped you continuously? Which aspects of yourself have been the aspects that you can count on again and again and again? And which aspects of yourself are therefore worthy of being granted that loyalty, that faithfulness? When it comes to discerning what our truest intention is, what our truest desire is, we have here the card of Temperance. And this is really the card of alchemy. It's the card of alchemy, but it also has the name of temperance. And temperance really means understanding quantities, understanding which quantities are necessary, when it is too much. And I feel very strongly that we are really moving through times where understanding more of unity consciousness, and understanding more of getting back to the source, we are also confronted more and more with the duality, and we are confronted more and more with having to hold the duality within ourselves. So a question like finding our true desire really also touches upon the duality, that we may have desires that are in conflict, and they both may be very true. So this card is reminding us that we need oppositions, we need contradictions, we live and thrive off of back and forth, off of polarity, off of duality. It's a natural part of our experience. And the key to managing it is understanding how to move it back and forth, and how to play or dance. Many of us hear this all the time: dancing with the shadows, dancing with duality, dancing with life. And it is a dance. It's a back and forth dance. It's a dance of constant evaluation. It's a dance of constant reflection. It's a dance of constant shifting and rearranging and moving back and forth. It's a constant dance of old and new and old and new and unknown and known, and all of these things that move back and forth. Our emotions of feeling okay, of feeling not okay, of being high and being low again, of being lively and then feeling depressed. It's an expansion and a contraction that is always happening. So understanding that our truest desires are within a spectrum, and that spectrum can be recognized, so that it's helpful to understand where on the spectrum am I right now, because then also I can consider what is there on the other end of that spectrum. And by considering that as well, I bring myself back into the center. And there I can find a refined version of my desires. An alchemized version of my desires. I also feel that what we desire is sometimes seemingly that which gives us a response immediately. So things that happen quick, happen fast, something that we can touch now and understand now and really grasp, and something that will give us a proof, will give us an evidence of having made a correct choice, a correct decision. But we're really challenged to hold that faith and that loyalty inside of us, which enables us to make decisions that are no longer based on the immediate response as we think of it. Because even when we connect with the divine, we can get immediate responses, immediate manifestations, immediate synchronicities, if we only have the awareness to perceive them. And I feel that we are also being called to focus on the desire that has both the rational and the emotional response within, that has both the short-term and the long-term effect, focusing not only on the desires that are good for the now, but also really sitting for a moment with ourselves and imagining our future, and being able to move through things by connecting with desires that also lead us beyond, that lead us to the future, and understanding that our desires can feel contradicting. So, for example, I can have the desire to want a healthy body, and that can conflict with my desire to eat something that I know is not good for my body. And connecting with both the spectrum, so understanding that sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of something that maybe isn't good for your body, and your body will be able to cope with that. But doing it continuously will have an effect. And if my long-term goal and desire is to have a healthy body and I want to maintain that, then I really need to show that loyalty to myself, because I'm doing it for myself. And I'm able to understand the desire that is of a longer effect, that is long-term. And really understanding how our emotional needs are formed. What are they influenced by? It's really easy to feel emotions, and it can be very tricky it can be even easy to analyze our emotions, but it can be very tricky to see really the web of how all of the things in our lives came together, came into place to create that specific emotion. And sometimes we work on the emotion so much, and we want to figure out why that desire is there and what it means and what it should tell us and if it's right or wrong. And we forget all of the environment that contributes, all of the factors of a setting that contribute to this desire emerging right now, because we over-identify ourselves with an emotion, for example. And when we're able to understand that web of influencing factors, then we can start testing our desire by removing some of them. So removing one of the factors. Oh, and then the desire isn't there anymore. Well, then good, now we don't need to focus on it anymore. Maybe the desire is still there, so then we remove other factors, or we move ourselves into a different situation and we watch how that desire may change, or if it stays the same, or if it evolves. And by doing those little tests and moving ourselves back and forth between circumstances, between situations, and between environments, we can collect more data for ourselves to really understand how our body is influenced. Which helps us gain more understanding of influencing factors. And once of course we can't always, we cannot control our environment, and there may always be factors that have like let's call it a negative influence, that have that kind of influence on us. But some of these factors we can very much control, change, alter, and knowing them will enable you to take out unnecessary stress, unnecessary confusion, unnecessary, taking out what is unnecessary. And that leaves us with what is necessary. And out of that necessity, we can better evaluate the desire, the response, the wish. And there is so much material out there on emotions and how they are formed, how they get stuck in the body, how we respond. I even recently heard someone speaking, I think it was a talk by Jordan Peterson, and he was speaking about social and cultural and political responses that are influenced by our personal physical levels of certain emotions, such as emotions of disgust, which is a negative interpreted emotion. So when we have already a high level of disgust because maybe our environment is really dirty, because maybe we are confronted with a lot of things that we don't like, that make us feel, oh, that that are just not pleasing for us sensorially, then we have a different response, statistically said, to political mindsets and beliefs and cultural ideas. And things like that can really correlate with each other. And I feel like there's a lot of these types of connections that are sometimes overlooked, that are unknown, that we haven't been exploring yet as scientists, as society. And some of them we have explored, but it's really hard for us to grasp, so we keep denying them. But understanding more of these connections can really right now help us discern and help us connect with our deep, true, purified, and alchemized desires. The last card was related to something that we have already cultivated, that we have already learned about, that we now can and should implement in order to help us through these times, in order to support us. And this is the card. It is the Four of Pentacles, and it's reversed. This is what it looks like right side up. So this is the suit of the earth element, and 4 is a number of stability. It's a number of stability. And I feel that this card is simultaneously speaking about this stability that we have really already cultivated because of all of the work that we've done. And we have all had quite a ride. At least if you're in my generation, then probably you've had quite a ride. And if you would like to share something about that, would be happy to read about your personal experiences and share those experiences and help each other out in that way to, gain some sense of ease and community. But these foundations and the security that we've already established is important. And it's important inside of us. It's really not so much an external security, because that's also something we have learned, is that when we depend on the outer world to stay the same always, we will experience disappointment and we will feel surprised. But if we keep expecting that things in the outside will change and we hold on to that foundation that we've built, we can feel much more secure. At the same time, our inner foundations also are constantly evolving. So I feel like the importance here is that we are building structures, and building a structure usually includes multiple steps. So you put one layer, but then you add another layer, and you add another layer, and you add another layer. And sometimes alterations are made where you have to remove something, you put something else there. And rarely do we add something and then it just is finished immediately, and it always continues to stay like that. That's just very rare. And this energy is really about not only cultivating a foundation, so recognizing our foundation, recognizing the work that you've already done, recognizing the foundation that you have done physically, recognizing the foundation that you have done internally, that you've cultivated internally, and recognizing the stability that you have found. But what I also very strongly feel is that it's not only about stability, or it is about stability, but understanding also how that stability is created. So we create that stability by being able to maintain something, and that includes setting boundaries. That includes saying no or saying yes, but context dependent. It includes knowing yourself and being able to set the boundaries that need to be placed, being able to hold yourself in place, because you don't constantly let something from the outside come and pull or push you over or lead you astray or influence you in a way that you don't want it. So this is a really important aspect of ourself that we have already started understanding. And what's important is that we didn't learn it to never use it. So all of the things that we cultivate for ourselves are also now resources for us to use. So you've learned to say no to something that you don't want. That is amazing. And you will continue to use that skill in the future, and it will help you maintain your foundation. Continuing to set boundaries, and at the same time understanding how things evolve, flow, change, and when there is a process of growth where maybe you outgrow your own boundaries and you outgrow your comfort zone and you want more and you want different things, and that is okay. Understanding how things change, and that also, it's kind of like walking. So when we walk, if you have 2 feet, then typically you will move 1 foot and then the other, and then one and then the other. So always there's a moment where 1 foot is kind of in the air and you are not so stable, but then it goes down again. But then the other one comes up and you're not so stable. And I feel that that's also how it is with security, with safety, with structure, with foundation. We have a moment where we have this really strongly cultivated internal security. And then the whole outside world is just radically changing, and we're okay because we can sit with that, we can hold ourselves, we know how to stay grounded. And then we go through a phase of internal evolution, of internal growth, where we let parts die and other parts are born, and everything changes and nothing is stable. And then it's great if we have, at least for some time periods, and kind of an external foundation that will hold us. And the foundation that will always hold us is the earth, of course. And depending on where you live, if you experience seasons, that might radically change in the experience. But it tends to also be this kind of flux between I feel very strong internally, and then I can just let loose, and then sometimes I don't feel so secure, so stable, and then it can help me to implement a bit of security in the outside world. And a great way to do that, building loyalty to yourself, is creating a routine. Creating a routine for yourself that is small enough that you can actually repeat it frequently enough that it works and is felt, and loose enough that you can stay flexible. So now we're reaching the time of the day where I'm going to get eaten by mosquitoes. Now we understand the flux. The flux of moving back and forth between the emotions, moving back and forth in between stopping and going and lifting and walking and dancing and resting and sleeping. And right now, with these 3 cards, it's a beautiful time. It's generally a beautiful time because we are really in a process of alchemizing and experiencing that merging, that coming together. of the spiritual, of our beliefs, of the foundations of our what drives us, of our energy, and the physical world, and understanding how emotions communicate between that, how emotions are a form of communication between the realm of fire and the realm of earth, between the realms of the spiritual world and the physical world, and that they communicate causes that have effects. And that is something we see in all of nature. So right now life is telling me that I need to make a choice. If I continue sitting here, I will have to bear the consequences of many, many bites. And I have also learned the skill of being able to move when I've strengthened my inner foundations, my inner security, and being able to set boundaries for myself. I hope that this message, this reading, has brought you some inspiration, has helped you process, and that you will continue to process. When we pull cards, we don't just put them away and then leave, but they continue working inside of us. And sometimes these symbols come up in other ways in life. So if we're curious and if it's fun for us, then we can stay attentive and start noticing them, which helps us give ourselves feedback and find, joy and curiosity. I hope that you have a beautiful full moon. I hope that you have a beautiful week. I hope that you feel loved and held by yourself and your environment. I send you lots of love. And if you wish to connect with me, I will share some details in the description below. And I hope that next time you will take a moment to sit with me again. It was a pleasure for me. I'll see you next time.